Fraction Addition by Layla, Kaylee, Chris, and Gwen.
So this is our presentation. We are doing fraction addition. And
let's get into it.
Layla will do the introduction. So what we are doing is fraction addition. I wrote my little. By the end of this lesson, I will be able to, so this is going to be all 3 days. We are going to add fractions with the same denominator by using first a paper model and then drawing shapes, and then eventually we are going to write equations last. We're going to be using the 3 mathematical practices and the CRA model. So on the first day, we're going to be doing use appropriate tools strategically, which is the concrete model. On the second day, we're going to look for and make use of structure, which is the representational model. And then on the last day, we're going to model with mathematics, which is the abstract model. 3 common misconceptions, things that kids don't understand about fractions or get wrong with fractions, is that they treat the denominator as separate whole numbers. So for example, rather than saying 1/4 plus 1/4 is 2/4, they add up the fourths and say 1/4 plus 1/4 is 2/8. The second one would be not understanding that fractions are unique numbers that take up spots on a number line. So for example, on a number line, you can see 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and then 1. Kids don't understand that they actually take up space on a number line and they're not just like imaginary numbers that we make up. And the last misconception is that kids don't understand that whole numbers are distinct from non-whole number rational numbers. So they don't really understand in the beginning. It's a hard concept to understand that 2 is different from 2/5 because fractions are so new to them. They don't really understand what they are or what they mean. So we will get into day 1, which will be using appropriate tools strategically, using concrete models with Kaylee.
This is Kaylee Williams, and this is day 1. Today we are going to be using concrete models. Now the kids will be in groups and they would all have pieces of paper with fractions on them. But today I'm just going to be using them on the whiteboard. So right here I have 1 whole, 2 1/2, and then 4 1/4. Now the kids, with the common misconceptions, they would think that with adding fractions, you would add across. So if they did 1/2 plus 1/2, if they add across, it would be 2/4. But that is not the case, because if you show them, you can show them the 1/4, because this technically would equal 2/4. And 2/4 is equal to 1/2. So that would only be equivalent to 1/2 of 1 whole. But if you show them with the misconceptions of fractions, you would show them that if the fraction has the same denominator, you only add the top. So 1/2 plus 1/2 would technically equal 2/2, and that would equal 1. So this would all equal 1. Same with 1/4. This has more than the 1/2. So like I said, 1/4 plus 1/4 equals 2/4. So if you add these together, it would also equal 2/4. And that would equal 4/4. And that would equal 1. So if you show them, all of this would equal 1. This does not equal 1/4 plus 1/2 plus 1/2 does not equal 2/4, because that would be that equivalent to 1 full equation. Now, since we are only going to be teaching at a 4th grade level, we are only going to be using fractions with the same denominator. But these are just my examples. The students will get more examples of fractions, like some will have 1/3 or 1/8, just so they have more examples to go off of. And that will complete the lesson for today, and tomorrow we will be going into the representational model.
For day 2, we are going to be focusing on look and make use of structure with representational models. We want each student to build their own understanding, so make sure that they are working on their own. They are going to have whiteboards in their desk and markers. They are going to draw out every model that you show on the board so that they build their own understanding. On the board, we will start with the number lines. Using 1/4 plus 2/4, this is going to help us emphasize that we do not add the denominators. Have them write out all the way up to 1 on the number line. Because 1/4 is our first fraction, you are going to have them put a dot right here on 1/4 and start there. They look at the numerator for the second problem, and that is how many times they are going to jump up on the number line. 1, 2. This equals out to 2/4, and they will get to the number 3/4. This will help them understand that the denominators are not going to be added. The second type of representational model that you are going to use with the students is shading boxes. You are also going to use 1/4 for these problems, but we will also use 1/8 just to put a little dimension for the students. With each of these boxes equaling 1/4, have the students write it out so they understand. We are going to do the same, 1/4 plus 2/4. You will shade 1/4 box, and then another 2 for the 2/4. When you count them out, this equals up to 3/4. And also, if you were to do it with 8s, each box would equal out to 1/8. And we will do 2 8s plus 2 8s. Then you would shade 2 of them for this question and 2 of them for this one. This would emphasize that it is 4/8. Most students will ask what you would do if you had different denominators, different number denominators. But we want to emphasize that that is not something that is going to be hit in 4th grade. That is something at later levels, so you will only focus on adding with the same denominator.
Hi, my name is Christopher, and this is day 3. So now that we've modeled with concrete and representational, it's now time to move on to abstract. So I actually created a worksheet for the students to do. I recommend that the teacher goes and does the first problem together with the students, so they actually grasp onto the idea of doing it abstractly. I recommend that they focus on doing it only abstract and try not to do it with the number lines or the shading boxes. So I recommend doing problem number 1, which is 5/11 plus 2/11. So when we're working with abstract, it's important to know that you are keeping the denominators the same and you are just adding across. So here I have 5/11 plus 2/11. So when we add them, it's 7/11. I want to emphasize that the denominator always stays the same, and when students are working with abstract, it's important that they only focus on that. If they are struggling, I would recommend telling them to go back to the previous models, and maybe it'll help them with the abstract model. So now that you have worked on the first problem with the students, go ahead and give them 20 minutes to work alone. And while they are working on the problems, go ahead and walk around the classroom just to kind of encourage them and motivate them to do the problems by themselves. If a student is struggling, it is your job to go ahead and help them and guide them. So after the 20 minutes are up, I recommend going ahead and going over the problems as a whole class. So go ahead and add these up. 7/4 plus 6/4. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So go ahead and do 13/4. And then you have 9/2 plus 4/2. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 again. So you have 13 again over 2. And then 3/6 plus 8/6. So 8, 9, 10, 11. So not 13 this time. So after you have done these problems, just go ahead and have a class discussion and see how the kids are doing on it and seeing if there's any ways that they could improve. Also, don't forget to go over previous models that we worked on in day 1 and 2. This is actually going to set them up for improper fractions. So thank you.
Alright, so now that we've gone over all 3 days of our lesson, we can go back to our original, by the end of this lesson, I will be able to, which is add fractions with the same denominators. by using paper models, which was Kaylee's day 1, drawing shapes, which was Gwen's day 2, and then writing equations, which was Chris's day 3. We have hit all of these.
As a reminder, for day 1, we did the concrete model, and then this was the point for the use appropriate tools strategically. So, like, as a reminder, the kids will be in groups, and each group will get paper models with the fractions, and they'll have more than this. Some will be 1/3, some will be 1/8, and they will all work together. And make sure you walk around and make sure that they are understanding, and also that they don't add completely across. If the denominators are the same, they only add the top numerator.
With day 2, we were able to use representational models and hit the mathematical practice of looking for and making use of structures with number lines and shapes. One of the important things about this day is to remember that they are going to be working on their own, but they will not yet be solving problems. They are just mirroring what you are writing, building an understanding on their own and not on their peers. We were able to do 1/4 plus 2/4 on the number line, and we did 1/4 plus 2/4 with the shaded boxes, along with 2/8 plus 2/8, so they can build an understanding using more complex numbers.
And so for day 3, we actually focused on abstract models, and we also modeled with mathematics, and we did a worksheet. We really wanted to emphasize abstract by working with numbers. We also wanted to implement a growth mindset and kind of just let students know that it's okay to take your time and work alone and also work with partners. So, thank you.
So, by doing these, this 3-day lesson plan, it does set up the students to eventually start working with adding fractions with different denominators, since we only worked on fractions with the same denominators for this lesson. And it also sets up the students for working with improper fractions versus proper fractions, which was shown in the worksheet. We hope you enjoyed this lesson plan, and thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.